We started this in a rate study where we needed to finance some projects, and $4.3 million, well number 10 for 2.7, and 1.6 for 6 distribution booster stations. That began on April 29th through the judge, and he's authorized that to submit that so that we were able to go ahead and finance it. And then prior to that, we had, or about the same, consequently, we were approved for a DEQ loan for $2.7 million, which is much better than a rate we would get through any bank. Subsequent to that, we were able to go ahead and add to the $4.3 million in DEQ financing, further adding to the savings that we would have gotten otherwise through a bank. And that amount of savings is anywhere from $355,000 to $535,000 for the additional $1.5 million. So I'm recommending the approval of this resolution. What the resolution will do for us once it's approved is that it sets up the approval of the loan offer. It approves the form of the bonds, which is something that we must do, revenue bond, due to the Revenue Bond Act, and then the delivery of the bonds or delivery of the documents to DEQ, and then lastly, the resolution sets forth the authorization for signatures from the mayor and public officials from the city to execute the documents. So that's what the resolution does.
Gary?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment that I appreciate Don's efforts on this. As you know, we had the original DEQ loan for the development of well number 10. We made inquiry to see application if we could also get a loan for the booster stations. It turns out that that second application after inquiry wasn't necessary, and they extended the loan amount to cover the booster stations, which, as Don said, saves an incredible amount of financing money as well as the initial cost of the setup of the bonds. So I just wanted to thank Don Les for his work on this. That really is resulting in a significant savings for ratepayers in the development of this well and these booster stations.
Well, one of the things I'll say is a 2.25% rate over a 20-year period. A few years down the road, we're going to look at that and say, man, what a marvelous thing happened to us, because if you can finance something for that, it's almost unprecedented in my view.
I calculated in the CCSR that the savings is an additional over $1 million, depending on the rate that we would receive. But I had preliminary estimates that instead of 2.25%, it'd be anywhere from 4 to 4.25%.
Yeah, it's an absolute terrific rate. I've never heard of a rate that low that I know of, so that's terrific.
It is considered a part of the federal grant process, even though it flows through a DEQ. So we will have to do a single audit act as a result of the monies, but it is a great deal.
And Don, thank you and your staff for searching that out and finding it. That's terrific for everybody. It's a ratepayer here in Moscow. That's terrific. Questions for Don? John?
No, not a question.
But question.
No
Wayne?
question.
Don, on this, the $4.3 million, where this is going to be a revenue bond, how does that affect our normal bonding capacity?
Well, this is a revenue bond, so it doesn't impact the GO debt portion of it.
Okay.
It still has the same kinds of covenants that we would meet with regards to bond capacity. And so we'll be monitoring that throughout the deal. But what's nice about this DEQ financing that I did not mention is that unlike other bond proceeds, you get the money up front and then you spend it as you go. With the DEQ financing, what's really cool is that it's like a draw request. You spend the money, you draw it down, and then you don't actually incur the final bond act until the project's completed, and then we start paying it back. So I was a little bit fearful of the funding mechanism, because we would have all this money and not have it spent for 2 years, 2.5 years. So this works out great. So.
That's a good deal.
Dan?
Well, unless somebody else really has something they really got to say, I'd make a motion that we adopt the attached resolution accepting the DEQ financing and authorizing execution of documents.
I would second.
Okay, Dan made a motion to approve the recommendation in the attached resolution accepting the DEQ financing and authorization and execution of the documents. John Weber seconded that motion, and I'm just going to go ahead and start with Art.
Aye.
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 Okay, and that passed 5-0. Thank you, Don, very much.
Thank you very much.